how did you get into it? How did you start your agency?
Well, we don't have enough alcohol or time to get it into that.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. We're going to try out something a little different. I have my good teammate and friend, agency scale specialist, Mr. Darby on. Welcome, Darby.
Good to be here. Thank you. I hope this goes well.
We'll see. We'll see. He did just shave his mustache off from going to the digital agency experience, and I can't look at you. You look like you have a baby face. So,
I do.
But Jeff, welcome to the show. Tell us who you are, what you do.
So Jeff Lizik, and I am the president of Redshift Digital Marketing, redshiftdm.com here in Pittsburgh. And what I do everything. As an agency owner, we all know that. We do everything. As much as we do or don't like it, we do it. So
why do you do everything? Let's get into that. I'm just curious.
It's the dentist's kids. Or the dentist kids with terrible teeth, the shoemaker shoes with no shoes, the digital marketing agency with no marketing.
Yeah, we run into a few of those from time to time.
Yeah, because clients come first, right? And everybody wants to maximize the work for the clients. And because I've been doing this since 2001, I can do things, and it's definitely a problem because I can jump in and do it, and I do, and then nobody wants to touch it because they think Jeff's doing it, and I'm like, well, why? I don't know why I'm doing it. I was bored one day, and I decided to build landing pages and test out this new AI copywriter. And next thing you know, I own it.
Yeah, exactly. What's it been like over? You've been doing it for quite a while. I started my first agency in '99. You started in a little after that. So
01 was my first e-commerce business, which was a total accident. But yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Yeah. I mean, take us a little bit through the ride. Like, how did you get into it? How did you start your agency?
Well, we don't have enough alcohol or time to get it into that. Well, so
we don't have enough alcohol because everyone that came to our event drank it all.
So it was a complete accident. I started an e-commerce business. I bought a condominium right out of college. Me and my wife were living there, and somebody had a Christmas party. Somebody was selling paintball supplies. I bought them because I knew I could make some money on them, sold them on eBay. Next thing you know, I have a tractor trailer delivering $6,000 worth of paintball products to my front door at a condominium. And at the end of the first year, I'd sold $1 million online.
Wow.
And just blew up, ended up being the second largest paintball retailer in the world. Consulted eBay on some of their sporting goods categories and was the third person to beta third-party selling on Amazon. There were only 3 of us in the first beta group when we did third-party selling. So exited that, decided I was going to take off for a while, then thought, wow, employees, payroll, I'll get back to corporate America. After a week in corporate America, I said, whoa, what the hell did I do? So I built a whole bunch of affiliate sites, and I was killing it, making more money there than I was in corporate America. And Google rolled out Penguin, and all of my sites tanked because I was using Magic Submitter. Do you remember that? Build 10,000 links overnight, own the SERPs the next day, like all that stuff. EasyArticles.com.
Just putting the keyword you want in the background, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you could do all the stuffing and the white text and everything. Mm-hmm. So Penguin rolled out, all my affiliate sites tanked. And I said, I don't feel like rebuilding all of these. So I was like, you know what? I'll start an agency. So I started an agency. 9 months later, I merged with a business consulting firm. 5 years after that, I buy another agency, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
Funny story about the paintball. When I was a kid, I had a friend that had a paintball gun, and we grew up in this like little country club. And I remember he had this red paintball gun, and he shot one of the security guards, and the security guard looked down and saw this big red, on his uniform, and was like, "Oh!" And he fell down and goes, "You damn kids have killed me." And so whenever anybody brings up paintball, I'm like, I always remember that story. I'm like, oh my God, like you killed this person.
Can you imagine pulling a paintball gun on someone today?
Oh my
Ooh,
God.
Back
no,
then, in the 90s, none of that mattered. No one
no,
cared.
no, no, not at all. Tell us a little bit more about like when you started the agency, what has changed from then to now?
Man, the technology. I think I mean, if you look back a decade, and we didn't have entities. We may have, we didn't know it. We didn't have topical maps. We didn't have, now, AI is going to be the biggest transformation we ever go through. I'm extremely curious to see how we come out the other side. But the technology has just changed. It's made us be way better marketers. And we didn't have to be good marketers back in the day. This was something that we could scam the search engines, and now we can't. And I think even if you look at Google getting as big as it is and pushing its properties, we actually have a client that sells equipment for drilling for oil and gas. They have more searches for their top product on YouTube than they do on Google. So now put that into perspective. When your zero-click searches are at an all-time high, they've never been higher than they are now. Google's putting video in search. You have 4 paid ads at the top. You might or might not get a map above. Well, you're not getting a map above the fold at all for local. So the entire, just everything about Google has changed. If you remember, there didn't used to be ads on top. They were only on the sidebar. And now we're just getting to the point where organic is getting harder and harder. And I don't know, I feel like organic's going to be more social than it is going to be search at some point in the future.
I mean, I can't remember the last time I actually went to Google for a search. Honestly, I always go to YouTube.
I use ChatGPT.
Yeah,
I use ChatGPT now.
Well, like, and when I'm looking to like for something, I'll go on YouTube and I'll be like, or I'll buy something from someone using something of a video on YouTube. Like, for example, like, when I got the Mustang, I was like, oh, what cool stuff can I get on it? Like, I was following someone that had, that Shelby, and then I'm like, oh, they got this. I'm like, oh, I need to get that. Or they got lights for this Bronco. Oh, I need to get that. And I just,
versus the links are right there. Yeah.
Even when I do go to Google, I just go straight to the videos, honestly. I go to the video tab and I just search through there because I don't have the time to read through all the ads and all the other crap.
Yeah, and the ads, pretty much, I don't even want to look at paid ads because I don't know if it's any good or not because they didn't necessarily earn it. But I do the same thing, except I go to shopping more for sneakers and streetwear and stuff. But what about Instagram? I think I buy almost as much on Instagram as I do on Amazon now.
The hat I'm wearing right now is a drunken Instagram buy. I'll tell you right now, $40 out of Hawaii. But still, I love the hat. But you're exactly right. I'm a victim to that on a weekly basis.
I am a sucker for buying stuff on Instagram. Like, my family makes fun of me when I buy stuff. Like, I remember I told them, I go, we moved to the mountains, and I remember seeing this Instagram ad of like this little telescope. It was about, I thought it was like this big, and it was like you could like put it in your pocket and you could see people, which like the big mountains that we have a view of are maybe 10 miles away. So I was like, ooh, I was telling my family, I was like, I could see people walking on top of the mountain with this. And it came like a month later. It literally was like this big, and I couldn't see across my street with this piece of junk thing. But I'm a sucker. Like, I'm a sucker for all those things.
What about the train horn? Is the train horn from Instagram?
No, that was actually, I went to a football game and I'm like, why does the visitors have such a loud horn? Like, usually it's a home, like when they score, and it's like it's a little power tool with 4 air horns on it.
Oh, jeez.
It's amazing. And so I got that. Yeah, I love that, Jordan. So whenever we have new members come in, I'm constantly like, "Welcome back," and blow it.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, now I'm going to go look one of these up.
Oh, I'll send you.
Oh,
I'll
it's going
send
to show
you.
up for you already. You don't even have to look it up. It'll be there.
Okay.
Don't worry. It'll show up.
That's right. What how are you guys using AI in your business right now?
Oh, man, you're opening a can of worms.
Are you allowed to say?
I have been knee deep in it for a while, and I am huge on prompts and buying prompts from really good prompt engineers and figuring out, I mean, taking processes from 16 hours to an hour. But there are stipulations to this. So I'm testing everything AI that I can and slowly rolling things out to the team. But, and there's a big caveat here, you have to have an agency champion if you're going to let your team use AI. Because we saw that lawyer that got disbarred because he had submitted a bunch of documents that had hallucinated legal cases.
Oh, I didn't hear about this.
Oh yeah, some guy submitted all these cases to the court, and everything that he referenced was fake, and he didn't. This was early on in AI. It had to be like maybe May, June. He got disbarred because it was all made up, and it was from ChatGPT. So AI can be, can be dangerous if you don't know how to prompt it, and that's the big thing. Is you have to. It's a tool. It's a means to an end. It's not the only, like, you have to have that human interaction, human oversight, almost treat it like an employee that's super efficient, because it does. I mean, sometimes it just puts out garbage, but the prompts, I have prompts that are a page and a half long, but they get me great results. Now, a lot of people, like you, Darby, you said, can't you tell us? Well, there are people that are anti-AI, but we use Ahrefs, we use SEMrush to cluster topics. It's another tool, and it just happens to be at a different level than the tools we use now. But you have to know how to use it, just like you have to know how to read the data, because it can be dangerous if there's no oversight. But I want to use it everywhere possible.
So when it comes to the prompts, did I hear you say buying prompts? Because I don't know about you, Jason, but I've not heard of purchasing prompts prior to this. I may be under a rock when it comes to that, but that threw me for a second.
Well,
I've seen them, and it's more of kind of like, and I'd love, Jeff, you to tell us more about it, but I've seen them from kind of the 20-year-old kids that think they've figured out. They were like, this is the secret prompt. And I'm like, like, I've never seen any content from them before, but Jeff, tell us, why are you buying prompts?
Okay, so Jason, do you remember Richard Sheffrin?
No.
Back in the day, he was the guy that brought us Ryan Dice and all those guys. He was with John Reese. He was with everybody, but he was the OG when they were coming up.
Okay.
He's still around, and I bought access to a video course he had, but the key thing was there were all these professionally built prompts. And even Dan in our group, he has those prompts that were built by a top prompt engineer. So there are millions of prompts on Twitter that if you follow me and retweet and say prompt, you'll get 12,000 prompts, and they're all one-liner.
Yeah.
I'm building out prompts that give complete context. Like when I tell ChatGPT, your Gene right now, it knows it's Eugene Schwartz, because I went through an entire thing teaching it about Eugene Schwartz. Or not only that, but I will give full context and a full background of everything tied to what I want my output to be based on. And then I ask ChatGPT to repeat it back to me to make sure that it's not making things up and it fully understands what's happening. But I didn't understand all the ins and the outs of the context and the answering question or asking it questions about what you've just fed it until I started buying more advanced premium prompts. Anybody can put together a sentence, and most of these prompts you get free on Twitter are a sentence. It's a question. Well, great, but let's really dig into doing this the right way.
Yeah, I built our prompts, and basically I'll open up just a couple chats. And so with some of the chats, I'll just load in, for the past, we've almost been doing this business for a decade now. And so whenever anybody buys from us, we always ask them, what are they most excited to learn about? What's the biggest challenge right now? And so we loaded all of that up into the prompt. And then I'm always constantly asking them, do you understand what I want? And what are the other questions you need in order to add around that? And, I think a lot of people that are just touching the service were before, like what what I was doing is I just be like, come up with an idea for blah, 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 rather than let me tell you all of this, like you were just talking about. And it makes it a huge difference. Like Darby calls it my best friend. Because you can always tell, like they always know if it's like over a sentence and a half, they're like, oh yeah, your friend wrote it.
Your friend wrote it. Well, that's like, I have a prompt I copy and paste in that explains exactly every single step of the awareness ladder. Instead of just saying, give me all the pieces of the awareness ladder for this, I explain exactly what I'm looking for, and defining it. And it just gives you better results. But like I said, it's like having an employee. You really have to give it a lot of direction, and it gives way better results and answers, not with everything, but like you just mentioned, I think the consumer research part of it and getting in the mind. Oh, that's the other thing. You are a professional digital marketer and a master. What is it? A master in human psychology, or something like that. And it's the insights from a consumer research point of view are just off the charts.
Yeah, I see a lot going this way. And so tell us more about so the prompts you build, what are they for? Are they for a particular task or role? Like, do you see it?
So,
yeah.
Well, so I will build a prompt. Man, I should probably pull out my list. I have prompts that spit out 40, 50 pages. And I will get into, okay, I want all the personas. And sometimes I'll predefine it. Sometimes I want to see what it says. Then I say, take these personas, and given what I've already told you about the business, give me the ideal customer profile so that we're only talking about one. Then I have a whole set of prompts for the empathy map. So I use it for the empathy map. Then I ask for the pain points. Well, I guess that's part of the empathy map, but I will ask it for a bunch of headlines that tie to the pain points, or headlines that tie to the empathy map. But then I also give me pain points tied to the number one fear. So it's just taking everything and going a little deeper, but it gets into, I have a prompt for the entire social. So every channel, do I want slides in my carousel? Like every channel for a month, give me what my output would look like. Give me ideas for everything from Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. Give me the whole video script. And so I can pretty much use it everywhere except where I need heavy data analysis. But I can use it for topical maps. I can use it for content strategy. I can use it for lead generation. I can use it for lead magnets. There isn't anything I haven't used it for, and I'm fine tuning every little piece of it. And I haven't rolled it out to the team. They get some parts of it, but it's a lot because I put a lot of time into it. And so there's a lot there, but the insights are just insane. And now we have there's one Sphinx where it ties into all your search console, your Google Analytics. And so it's tied into your data. And then you just talk to it like ChatGPT, but it has all of your data and it will tell you everything. It's analyzing all that data in ways that we never could as human beings.
how are you planning to roll it out to your team? Because what I found, I'm I'm constantly messing with it and just trying to figure it
I
out.
know. I get in
Right.
trouble for that all the time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
my team calls me and says the idea department is closed. When I come up with you got to check out this tool. Right. So how are you trying to get your team to buy into it? Because they've been doing it for so long a certain way. How are you planning to do that?
So there's a couple of ways. One, I am giving individual members tips and ideas and prompts, just a little bit, one here, one there. Like, hey, take this prompt. This is how you would use this. This is where you fill in the blanks. Save you a ton of time. Start playing with it. But now we're also pushing them to start learning all about AI as part of professional development. So start understanding it, because I can't be the one to teach them everything. As much as people like you or I love to do that and love to play with every toy and piece of software out there, we can't teach them everything, and they have to think for themselves. But I'm giving them little snippets at a time. I am eventually going to record SOPs, and they're going to have to learn from the SOPs. But there's a lot, and that's why I'm hesitant to even put it all together, because it's changing every day. There's a lot there, but I'm starting to share with them very detailed strategic plans. I'm sharing the output with them, so they start to appreciate the output, and then they ask more questions about the input, so they can do it themselves.
Do you have any intention on bringing in someone at some point, in almost like a director of AI role, right? Because I feel like this is going to be such an integral part of the business at some point in time that it almost feels like there needs to be someone that's responsible for what you're describing, and in the role of rolling it out to the team and creating these SOPs. Because I just think that it's just going to be such a huge component of the efficiency and what you're doing that it's almost warrants a full-time position.
Well, shit, Darby, I didn't think of that. And now you're just adding to my overhead.
But I mean, would it be worth it, right? Because think about just the savings that it would bring if you were able to put someone in a role where they could implement this across the agency in multiple facets, to where those efficiencies just skyrocket. And I mean, I would think something like that would be well worth the investment.
Yeah. So instead of a champion, you actually have a role. That's actually a great idea.
And
I didn't even think
I think that role is more of like a director of innovation rather than maybe like a director of AI, because there's so much new technology coming out, right? And then like if you kind of frame it that way, because you're not just wanting someone that's good at prompt building, right? You want someone really progressive and thinking way ahead of everyone else, of going, all right, where is the puck going to be? Like, Wayne Gretzky?
Yeah,
right?
It was Gretzky.
Are you a fan? Like, I know you're in Pittsburgh and you're probably a hockey fan.
Dude, so right over there, I have. Wait, over there, I
you could point over there. We'll zoom in.
I don't know any better.
Gretzky's rookie card, Lemieux's rookie card, a bunch of Lemieux autographs. On this other shelf, I have Michael Jordan's rookie card that hasn't been touched by a human hand since 1992.
Wow.
I need to get it graded, but I'm gonna have to drive it somewhere because I can't insure it. But anyways, yes, Gretzky.
I was like, you were beating me up before, because for people that can't see the video, and we do have a YouTube channel, so make sure everyone go over Jason Swenk, go
subscribe,
go check it out, subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
Shameless plug.
That's
I'm
what
wearing
the
a Falcons
say.
shirt. Subscribe. And Jeff was beating me up. He was like, "Oh, Falcons fan?" I'm like, "Not really. My kid is, and it's just a T-shirt I grabbed out." So,
but no, you're talking about the innovation role. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think we all need that, but it's like, when do we bring that person on? And this is this ties into kind of building your team, right? Because I always think back at, and we're even building this team as we're speak for this company. It's always hard to figure out when and what position to bring in, because when you bring that person in, you're like, man, I want this person to generate revenue right now, like to prove
Yeah.
themselves. How have you done that in the past? And what are you thinking about? Like, as we say, hey, if you find a director of innovation, they could probably take this over and then save us money over time. So like, what's your thinking around that? I'm curious.
So Abby, who's my partner, and I have gotten to the point where there are roles that we have to hire the highest skill level possible because we don't have time as an agency to teach them and mold them into the role. So we look at it now on a role by role basis because we did a lot of training and it hurt us and went against probably all principles of business owners of holding someone's hand for too long. So now we've gotten to the point where you're not coming here to learn. You're coming here because you know your shit. And that's what we need to fill this seat. And part of it came out of the EOS process, right? People write seats. And do they have it, want it, and have the knowledge to, have the knowledge to do it? Like, do they get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it? We were having people that didn't have the capacity. And that's burned us a couple times.
Let's talk more about that because that's pretty interesting. And I think we've all been through that. And that was kind of really kind of a theme from, the experience that we just got back was we've had a lot of these people, and you've been doing it for a long time. I'm not calling you old or anything.
Yeah.
But you've been doing it a long time and the business has grown. How have you dealt with when you've outgrown people? Because there are so many people that we're so loyal to our team to a fault almost. So how have you personally dealt with that to kind of say, hey, it's time for you to move on?
Believe it or not, there's a pretty easy answer to this.
Okay. Wait, you got an awkward pause.
No, but I learned this from Abby because what you're saying is, our team is like, we're a true team and everybody has everybody's backs. But when you have somebody that you've outgrown or that we've outgrown, we make sure we hold them accountable. And then they fire themselves. Mm-hmm. So the people that are having trouble pulling their weight, we're moving faster than they are, whatever that scenario, hold them accountable. And once you get to that point and you're holding them accountable, some people step up, gain more knowledge, become great at their role, or they go find something else. But it took me a long time, and she taught me that. And it works. It's amazing. Like, it is absolutely amazing. But once you start to hold them accountable, it changes the ball game. Now, we should hold everybody accountable, but when you're outgrowing them, the accountability level goes up. So you really have to watch them and hold their feet to the fire.
So Jeff, you'd mentioned that you've kind of made a shift in your hiring practices and you're only bringing on highly skilled people, which obviously comes with a hefty price tag.
We try to.
Clearly that comes with a hefty price tag, right? Looking back, do you feel had you been less risk averse is the word I'm trying to say. And
you've been hanging out with me too long.
Easy for me to say, right? Taking on some of those more expensive, higher skilled people early on, as opposed to the lower cost option. Do you feel that would have changed your growth in hindsight? Would that have been a better decision?
150%. Without a doubt. Now, I will also caveat that with, it's really hard to find great people. And COVID changed that whole game. I was recruiting people for a position we had open. So I was on LinkedIn looking at everybody I was connected to in Pittsburgh. I've never seen this before, but 70 to 80% of the people I wanted to go after were employed by somebody not in Pittsburgh. They were employed by an agency that wasn't based here. Never seen that before. So the competition truly is now nationwide, which raises our cost, but it is worth the investment to not have to go through teaching people or counting on people to learn themselves, because the ones that are already really good, they're already natural learners. But yes, I totally would have invested more, taken the risk, cut the profit, and gone with the more skilled people. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've always found that you'll pay 20% more for the great people, but they'll produce 10 to 20x of what someone at a lower, a lower cost would be.
And when you got one of those people too, because the impact is insane. And I mean, Martel said it the other day. He was like, get out of the way. Like, and that's something that, Jason, you alluded to this. When you have a team that you're loyal to, because loyalty is one of my number one values, and it's tough. Especially if we've made the wrong hire and it's our fault. That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to fit that square peg in the round hole, and you're like, I want you to be a unicorn, but you were only designed for this.
Right.
And then the role changes, but the person doesn't change with it. And yeah, it is pretty hard.
We've tried to put people in other roles too that we thought were better suited. It hasn't worked ever, not once.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I ever did that. I'm sure I did, but I'm probably just blacking out, from the sheer pain of that, probably.
because then all of a sudden you gave them a much longer runway, and if that doesn't work, you just doubled your frustration.
I'm sure I've done that, and I see a lot of people, that we chat with. They've tried to do that. They're so loyal to this person, being like, you suck butt here, and you need to go. Yeah, that's a bad word to use. But let me put you in this role. Maybe we can beep that one out, but well, maybe not. It's probably cool. But and then we put you in this role, and they're like, I don't like this. But at the end of the day, probably what was best for them is to go to a smaller agency of what you used to be, rather than the agency that we've all become, and take it from someone that's been fired from every single freaking job I've ever had. It works out for those people. It truly does.
Oh my goodness, we should trade stories on that. I have some I was fired from I can't even talk about.
What was the best job you've been fired for? What was the craziest job you've been fired from?
a lane tenant, or like a lane attendant at a bowling alley.
Okay, we're gonna come back to that in a second. Darby, have you ever been fired?
I think I've only been fired once, actually, and it was when I was in college. I worked at a place called the Wild Pair at the mall, which was a lady shoe store. Let me tell you, that was a great job in college. I'll just
heck yeah.
Right out of Married with Children.
Okay, Jeff, tell us, why were you fired from the bowling alley?
Oh, I probably can't really get into it, but there was
that's even better.
There was, I guess, I don't know, they asked me to wipe up a wet spot on the lane, and I went and I wiped it up, and then I looked up at the scores, and I was like, I don't think that's going to help you very much.
And they fired you?
Well, because there was somebody, it was taken as an insult by somebody that
gotcha.
really wasn't good at bowling.
Well, you should put the bumpers out for them.
Denny's is another one. Denny's, I got fired from Denny's in high school.
I worked at Denny's too. I waited tables at Denny's when I was also in college on the graveyard shift. We talked about this at the experience this weekend.
I bet you were the employee of the month, weren't you?
I'll give you the best one I ever quit. My wife and I, in college, worked at a fundraising company. So it was on the phone, auto dialers and everything. Now, so we've been together since high school. So we were working at this place, and the one day I'm like, I'm not coming in. And so she goes to work, and I called them and I said, I can't make it. They're like, why not? I said, I have a problem with my eyes. And they said, what's wrong with your eyes? I said, I just don't see myself coming in anymore. And I quit. And she had to be there for the backlash, which I never thought of that. But I literally wanted to do it just to do it and be like, I was like, this would be awesome if I did this. And I did it and I quit. And it's a great story.
I think that would work with, well, for everyone listening and seeing how you can relate this to your agency, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can relate this. So when a client comes to you that you hate, that's costing you money, I want you to tell them you have a problem with your eyes. That you and then be like, I just don't see us working together anymore. Click.
So
right?
this question comes up in the mastermind calls all the time. Like, how do you fire a client, or how do you tell a prospect you don't want to work with him? We just came up with the answer. I have a problem with my eyes. Fantastic.
Brilliant. Jeff, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for being our guinea pig on the first, not the first threesome.
Yeah, Darby, you did great.
Oh yeah, don't say that.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Yeah.
We're going to edit that part.
Here's the best part, Darby. Jason wants more people until you're good, and then it's just going to be you.
No, this is too much fun to do it.
This is the only part of the job he likes. Just kidding.
Exactly. I love the
Just kidding, but this is his favorite part.
Yeah. Is there anything, Jeff, I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the 1 or 2 listeners listening? No, the 40,000 listeners. And before you say, I just want to thank, like we're constantly hitting over 40,000 listeners per episode. And for everyone listening, thank you so much for listening. So truly grateful for that. But Jeff, for those listeners, is there anything we didn't ask you that you think would help them out?
No, but I think that there's a couple of key things happening right now. And it's, if you don't adopt AI, you're going to get left behind. And I think there's way too many people ignoring it in our space. And when people really figure it out, those agencies are going to get left behind. And the other thing is really start looking to the future. If search becomes a channel that's not affordable for your clients, because we know Google ads pricing has gone up, Facebook ads pricing is going up. How are you going to get eyeballs on your clients' products and services if Google isn't that main source anymore? And YouTube and video, podcasting, there's a lot of things, and there's things we haven't thought of yet that are going to be game changers that we have to be looking out for, or we're going to get blindsided like a lot of people did with AI.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, I love it. What's the agency website people can go and check you out?
Redshift, REDSHIFT.DM.com, as in digital marketing. And I've never spelled it out before until just now, and I have no idea why I did that.
Oh, that's okay. Well, at least I was waiting for you. I always make fun of my guests that do WW in front of it, because I'm like,
look, oh God.
I was like, great, that's a long time ago. Like we're well past that part.
or when you have a dash. I love when people are like,
I
blah,
forgot
blah, blah,
about
dash, blah blah blah. I'm like, why do I spell out dash, or am I putting a dash? Like
I forgot about the dash.
I hated it.
Yes.
There's still every now and then one of those pops up.
The dash. I'm just going to get dash.com. Just to mess with people. And then people are, I don't know how to get it. And I'll put the most exclusive prize on it.
That's awesome.
Well, awesome.
Right,
well, thanks so much for coming on the show. If you guys enjoyed the episode, make sure you share it out. Let us know your comments. Do you like the whatever format we would call it, which will be nameless? Let us know if you like the new format. And reach out to Darby, myself, or Jeff, and we will chat with you guys soon. Take care. Have a sweet day.
Guys, thanks for having me.